This is the first haunting that ever happened to me when I was in the UK. This haunting was quite amazing because stupidly I wasn't expecting it when I should have been. Okay, this is Pluckley Village in Kent. So it's outside London, probably about an hour and a half by train and then a little way by taxi or car. Pluckley is reputed to be the most haunted village in the UK, but since living in the UK there seems to be quite that claim ends up in a lot of buildings and villages. But Pluckley is certainly worth a visit if you're in the UK and you don't mind travelling outside London. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's a wonderful pub there. I think it's called the Black Horse pub, and it's just so old. It's beautiful. The food's really good. You can sit there and have a boozy lunch if you don't have to drive back to London. It's really fun. But I think they've got 11 documented hauntings. I don't know how you quite document a haunting, but maybe this is documenting a haunting. Anyway, what happened to me, it was quite simple. Now, I knew a little bit about Pluckley. I'd sort of heard a little bit. I'd watched the odd thing on YouTube. But even so, we went down with a group of people. A friend of ours is, he actually does professional tour guiding. So he did this really fun, relaxed wander around town and told us about a lot of stuff that was going on. There's a beautiful church there which is apparently quite haunted, called St Nicholas. And I was having a lovely time because I'd only been in the UK for 3 months. This is the first time I'd ever been to a proper English village, and I was just so excited. It was the first time I'd ever seen, in reality, like a proper thatched cottage, and I just love architecture. I was just in my element. So I knew it was haunted, but I wasn't even concentrating. I just was too excited about being in this gorgeous little village and wandering around. And I went to have a look at the church. The church was obviously locked, and you go into this little veranda, which is the style of a lot of English churches, and there's this beautiful old door. Have to be 500-600 years old. It was absolutely beautiful. I think it was oak, but it was just all of those old black nails and all the old black fittings were still on it, and it was just beautiful. And this was actually a really powerful experience, but a very short and a very surprising one. I was sort of running my hand over the wood in the door because I got really fascinated because being Australian, because this is originally where I come from, being Australian, we don't really have anything over, maybe 250 years old. To see something that old, it's really exciting, and I was excited about it. I was running my hands all over the beautiful texture of the wood because it was absolutely gorgeous. And all of a sudden, something sort of stopped me, and I kept my hand on the door. I didn't even mean to do this, but I felt this really powerful energy come through my hand. And I could feel it travel down my arm. I could actually feel the energy go down my arm. And it went right into my body, and it settled kind of in my stomach. And then, as soon as it settled, I couldn't move. I kind of knew what was happening, but because I have these things happen to me, I sort of know to keep calm and just see how it plays out. And it settled in my stomach, and as soon as it settled there, all I can tell you is I felt the most excruciating emotional grief beyond anything I've ever felt in my life. And I've had a pretty sad life, but this was just beyond anything. And I was actually mesmerised by it. I couldn't move because I could just almost feel myself sinking into this pit of agony. It was so emotional, but I couldn't do anything about it. Luckily, one of the friends I was with sort of came up and said, "Virtue, come on, we're moving on," and sort of snapped me out of it. And I pulled my hand off the door and I sort of walked and followed them, and I was really perplexed because I didn't actually know what had happened. And we wandered off, and then we went off and, we went and had lunch at the pub and sort of I promptly sort of just thought, look, let it go, you know, just have a good time and forget about it, because I didn't really want to be concentrating on it. When I got home, actually I must admit I didn't really want to think about it because it was quite powerful. I wouldn't say I was scared, because I don't scare easily with that sort of stuff. I've done it for so long. I was also pretty tired, and promptly I just fell asleep. The next day I sort of woke up and I thought, what the hell was that? So I started to have a look, and I started to look through some research, and I came up with, and I knew that there was a legend of a woman who walked at the who walked around the churchyard and had something like a baby die, and she was looking for her baby. I knew that there was this legend. But what I didn't know, and that the research that I found out, was that the actual woman's body that this legend comes from is actually still in the church, in a coffin, in a lead coffin. And I had no idea. And I really do believe that was her. And she was telling me about the pain. And it just, as soon as that sort of clicked, that she was in the church, and this was this woman. She wasn't in the churchyard, she was in the church. And this was this woman who had apparently lost her baby. I started to realise that's what she was doing. She was trying to tell me. And because I do that and had done that sort of thing, crossed people over and helped them out, this is what she wanted me to do, is to help her out. I kept trying because, as I've said before, there is no time in the dead world. There's also no geography. You know, as the days went by, I sort of got myself into a sort of state where I could communicate with her, and I kept trying to tell her things like, if you let go of this pain, I have no doubt that your son is waiting for you on the other side, but you can't while you're still in this pain. Because what happens to trapped spirits is they get themselves in such a state. They can't stop looking at the living world. They think the solution is in the living world, because their pain is so great that they can't let go to turn around to see that if they go into the dead world where they belong, they can meet up with all these people they miss. Most people can do it from, you know, crossover without a problem, but some people get really screwed up over it. I don't know if I ever helped this woman, because she just didn't seem to be able to let go. And of course what was happening to me is every time I try and help her do this crossing over, I'd end up really upset, because I'm a mother, and that sort of grief was really doing my head in. So unfortunately, after a few tries, and I did give it quite a few tries, I found I was just getting too upset. You know, I was in tears for quite a while afterwards, because it was just so painful. So the painting that you've seen is the painting I did on Pluckley. The way my paintings work when I do a haunting is, if you see the gold sort of, you know, gold dots and sort of the gold rain coming from the upper part of the painting, I'm talking about the spiritual help I call my hires, which are the most powerful I've got. So in the end, I asked them, would they mind seeing if they could do something, because it just was starting to take its toll on me. I mean, I genuinely hope that they did. I hope that she is released, because regardless if she's dead or alive, no one deserves to be in that pain. That it was just horrible. It really was. I'll never ever forget the depth of it. Anyway, so I guess that really concludes my little tale of Pluckley. I should have known that I was going to run into something, but, you know, I live with this all the time, and sometimes I just can't be effed. I just think, you know, I'm just going to go and have a good time and just be like everyone else. And it's funny, when I do that, that's always when I get caught. So anyway, that's Pluckley. Love to hear your comments. I don't know if I could say you enjoyed that or not, but that is sort of an insight to what happens when you keep walking into hauntings and you don't mean it, and you have these abilities that can sometimes get the better of you. Anyway, I'm going to see if I can go for another haunting clip this is what I'm doing this week, as I'm blitzing all of these paintings I've done and talking about the actual hauntings behind them. And I hope to see you on another clip. Thank you again for listening, and see you later.